Guru, channeled by Locken, the Little Blue Guru, joins us once in a while to answer a few questions that were sent in for future broadcasts. This is Larry Locken narrating. The Little Blue Guru was sent a few questions. The first question that came up today was Sarah, who says she lives in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, won't give away her email address or her last name. She wants to know if the Little Blue Guru could clear up a little bit on maybe what the difference is between consciousness and knowledge, if he could go into that. Okay, sure, Sarah, thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah, and others you can send in, email me at lockenlarry@gmail.com, or you find me on Facebook, wherever, or the Larry Locken channel on just about any social media platform. But let's roll with this and let's see. Our Little Blue Guru, I was going to call you mine, but our Little Blue Guru, are you there, sir? Hello, son. Yes, I am here. Okay, Little Blue Guru, check this out. I'm sure that you told me when we first met that you had been, if you were to put it in Earth terms, you've been alive about 1 trillion years. That's right. That's right, son. That's about the best way that I could put it in your terms, where you would even not drive yourself mad trying to understand. Okay, sir, the first question that comes in, like I said, I'm sure this will be the first time you've heard this. What is the difference between consciousness and knowledge as we perceive it here? I mean, not as we perceive it, but what is the actual, would you say, from the Little Blue Guru's take on it? What is the difference between, say, your consciousness and having knowledge? Because a lot of people don't understand the difference, as you well can understand, I'm sure. Well, Larry, okay. Let me try to put it this way. And if you're not understanding, please interrupt me. Let's start off with consciousness first. Okay, your consciousness. Being aware, per se, of your own existence. You may say to me, well, isn't everybody aware of their own existence? Well, yes, but you see, like I talked about, and this came up if you remember, in one of the last conversations, one of the last questions I had, it was about animals, and what it is exactly we do for animals. I mean, what you guys do for animals, aside from like feeding them and things of that nature, giving them shelter. One of the things is that you teach them to be aware of their own existence, not just look at an outside world. They become aware that they are an individual. They understand that they are themselves an important piece, not just that everything altogether is, but they themselves are a being. They are alive. You see what I'm saying? So taking it for granted as a human, fine, but that is a consciousness. You're aware of your own existence. You're aware, for instance, let's break it down a little bit further. You're aware of your own condition. You're aware of things like what you're thinking, smells, your senses, sights, things like that, your consciousness. You're aware of what other people are doing around you. You're aware of why they may do the things that they do around them. For instance, if your consciousness level, what you call it, is higher, is getting about, when you're of a higher consciousness, because you understand through your life experiences and just because of who you are, you understand different innate possibilities and what might lead to a certain situation. So your consciousness is high. You can understand that you think with outside of yourself. You're very aware of yourself, but you also think and can feel outside of yourself too, based on what somebody else might have experienced themselves, whether you have experienced that or not. Of course, we will say that it does. It does help your cause if you have experienced it yourself too, but it's not necessary for you to, all right? And it can be sometimes confused, we want to say too, with your consciousness and a conscience. Are they the same thing? Sort of. But your conscience is... they tie in together, but let me explain it this way. When you're feeling the feeling of you feel like you're expected to do something, or you feel like you just feel like you're feeling guilty because you might have done something you regret. You feel like you've been done wrong. You feel like you had nothing to do with what somebody's saying that you did, per se. That's your conscience. But it also does tie into your consciousness, too. Because what that does, it ties into that overall awareness you have. You're aware of it going on. It's kind of like awareness with a little bit of understanding sprinkled in, if that makes sense, dear ones. That's your consciousness. It's I could sit here and tell you that it's your awareness, and then we could break down to awareness too. You know what's going on, okay? You know what's going on, and because of your deep understandings and or experiences, you can understand why, even though you can still at the same time know that you don't agree with it or know that it's not right, but you can see how it happened. So the more consciousness you have, the less likely you are in any scenario to be. You can always be surprised. There's no question about it. Isn't life full of them? That's why the existence is here. One of the big reasons. But you won't absolutely be deathly shocked that it happened. Or if you are shocked, you know what you see, you just can't believe that it would go down that way. And usually those kind of thoughts by high consciousness people, it's not what they're thinking. It's not because they can't believe it happened. It's something that don't make sense, typically. Okay, it's something that don't make sense. It's something how it happened. And so what your consciousness is trying to tell you in those situations is that, hey, that's because you might not know there's something that's missing, more than likely. Not always, but there's something that's missing to the story. And that's, consciousness is one of those, like a lot of things in your world, Larry. So I'm going to tell you right now, as you're starting to know, but to the people who might hear this, everything has a yin and a yang, we know that, but everything also, it seems, from your plane down there, and we call it down there, but we are all around you, okay? I'm just trying to, the Blue Guru is not the end-all Twilight's last gleaming or anything, as you would put it. There are certain things that are so far, under our vibration, we don't understand either. So it seems to me that everything down there should be such a simple, just knowing as a newborn soul even, or with even just a sentence told about it, should be known. It should just be known. And it shouldn't be this complicated thing, but it seems like a lot of times things are made so complicated. And consciousness is made into this complicated thing. It's really not. If you were to make me break it down into an earth term, I'd say it's awareness, but I don't want to just give it a one sentence. Oh, well, it's this. Well, what's awareness? Well, it's consciousness. I know, we have a sense of humor up here too, and yes, sometimes I can predict exactly how it would go. You guys are not, in a trillion years, you guys are not the first hominoid planet that the Blue Guru has dealt with that was ascending. And it's not just that the Blue Guru deals with planets ascending, okay, but I've seen a few of them over your illusionary time frame. In that now moment, there's been many now times where I've seen many now planets do this. So, your consciousness, again, it's just awareness of yourself, awareness of sensations, taste, smells, and awareness of thought of not just a subconscious taste or subconscious look or, oh, that was good and that's on. Your mind grasps, even if it's for a few seconds, your mind is aware of it and it's like, and goes a little bit deeper. It's not just a blind reaction to feed another request from another sense, like you're hungry and just shovel it down, don't even think about what it tastes like. That's what we're getting at. It's awareness about everything. It's your consciousness level. You're able to understand and realize that could be the case and be open to that, right? With your mind and a little bit of your subconscious at the same time, considering all the other factors that may make it not so. Okay, you file it away at your consciousness level, your understanding. Okay, and sometimes That's why they say knowledge. We'll talk about knowledge for a second. That's why they say knowledge can be dangerous. Because in consciousness too, in the hands of, well, not really. Knowledge can be dangerous in the hands or the brains, the minds, the purview of souls that are not that heavily awakened yet. They can be dangerous for them to use it as one-liners and to use it as, something that they think sounds good when they don't understand what it means. So again, I guess you are in a yin and yang world down there. All right, and knowledge. You want to know the difference? What, you want to know the difference between that and knowledge? Yeah. Well, if you're talking about just knowledge, okay. So let's see how I'm going to simplify this down into Earth terms. Okay, you're a very science-based society down there. A very three-dimensional science-based society, let me put it that way. Let the Blue Guru in his sense of humor put it that way. Give you some of your own medicine there, dear soul. Okay, so your theories that you have that have been proven. Gravity, relativity, things of that nature, that if you always, you always boil your water for things that you do down there, and generally at what a certain temperature is, it will boil at some point. Once it gets hot enough, anything will boil when it gets hot enough. Okay, that's proven. That's known. That's knowledge. Now, knowing that is knowledge, especially knowing exactly what temperature it takes for it to start boiling at. Relativity, knowing that. You know that your gravity, you know that your planet has, you know that there's gravity on Earth because things are held in place, right? That's known. That's knowing that. Okay? Now, you can also know things through education, through meeting an expert in a particular field, through enlightenment, through learning, through just learning and studying when you're getting it, when you're getting it told to you through the person's truth, through what they know, without any agenda, you're getting true knowledge. Experiences may give you knowledge on how to do something. For instance, if you were to go out into nature constantly, and maybe you stayed overnight in nature, and you needed to build yourself some heat, things of that nature, you would know how to, once you learn how to do that, you do it a couple more times, you have the knowledge of how to build something like that. You have the knowledge to then at that point. You know how to do it. Knowledge is a know-how. Knowledge, consciousness is power. Consciousness is total power. Knowledge, I would say dear ones too, that I might even disagree with a little bit of my colleagues. I would honestly say to you, dear soul, you could almost say that knowledge with complete awareness of that particular subject and complete right heart intentions, that kind of a gained knowledge you could almost call consciousness. However, consciousness, the majority of that is already something that is planned in somebody's path to have. Okay, no matter what it comes from and what time it comes from, what time frame, that's where that comes from. It's just a knowingness. Okay, that's more of a kind of a subconscious, just a quick thought, your consciousness level. Whereas the other, it's simply an awareness. Consciousness is simply an awareness. The knowledge is learned, or done by repetition. You do something by repetition all the time, you do an activity, you're going to have a lot of knowledge of it. Right? You're taught by a great instructor with good intentions, you're going to get a lot of knowledge out of that particular subject. You have knowledge of this because of your experiences. Alright, your experiences can play some part in your consciousness level too. Not a lot, but it still can. It can take a couple things that you're murky on in your mind, and it can help clear them up for you. And that's just, that's exactly what it is, dear soul. So, was there another question that you had, dear soul? Yes, Little Blue Guru, the difference between perception and reality. What is the difference? And that one was from Tanya in just outside of Austin, Texas, little suburb of Austin. Well, thank you, Tanya, for that. And we would encourage anybody to email in at lockenlarry@gmail.com, LOCKENLARY@gmail.com. Or if you see this anywhere, if you see this show anywhere afterward, go ahead and write in the comment section your question. Or, if it's private, and we won't use your name, we'll just use your first name and, where you're from, if you tell us where you're from, or we won't use it at all. You tell us and be specific, but ask a question. Either message me on that platform or hit my email up. Now, I will tell you, if you try to message me, don't do it through a page that it's on. If you see this on one of the pages, like Pleiadian Blue Love and Healing, or Pleiadian Light Grid Project, or Express Productions, don't message that page. We don't check those messages. They come we only check what comes to mine. Okay, because that's how Facebook used to do it. Facebook used to not even only do that, but you didn't have to log in to your page to comment. If you went to one of your pages to comment, guess what? It showed up as that page's name. If you wanted to be your name commenting, you would have to log out and log back in. Or you'd have to log out of that page or hit a button on that page. I think it was just hitting the button, if I remember right. It was simple. But the only reason you would do that is because you wanted to either like something in your name, or you wanted to comment something in just your name for a reason, mainly to probably get another like or whatever it may be. Okay, that's what it was. You didn't go. Now you can't really do that. You can do messages, yeah, of course, but you can't go on to without logging in. It doesn't just take you. And you would have thought Facebook would have. If you didn't know any better, you would think they started out that way. And then they improved to the point where all messages came to one person. What groups that they were admins in or owned, all those messages would come to their personal private message. And that's what it used to do. Not anymore. They must have quit sometime between 2019 and 24 when I wasn't really active. In fact, I didn't do any shows between those 5 years. It was only on Facebook now and then. So it happened sometime during then, and I, for the life of me, can't figure it out. I can't figure it out because it was so convenient. If you wanted to comment as your own name, you just click the button, or, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, your page is your page, right? But yeah, logging out and logging in. What I'm saying is I don't log into the chat. In fact, it was only by accident. On my Orbs page, one of the leading contributors to that page, Liz Webb, I always get her name wrong too. She's going to kill me. Liz Webb, and she's got an amazing site called @AmazingOrbs over at Instagram. That's @AmazingOrbs at Instagram. She's probably got the largest collection of orb pictures that you'll ever find that aren't on social media, or that are on social media from a private person. Okay, the lot's vast, but I was just accidentally messing around with something one day, and it took me to my messages for that page, and I saw her, and I saw it was weeks and weeks ago, and she had a really good question and wanted to know if I'd like to post some of her stuff there. And I'm like, look, whoa, I'm sorry, I saw you. It was even a fluke that I did. I apologize. And I explained to her how Facebook used to work, and I wasn't even thinking. I realized I had to log in now to the page, but I wasn't thinking that my email didn't come to my personal email. It just wasn't in my thought to think about. I didn't wonder why I wasn't thinking about it. Yes, I saw a red dot up there at the top of the screen that looked like it. There were messages you get if you have a message, but it's also one if you have notifications too on it. That somebody liked it, and I figured that that's what they were, and I never mess with it until a few days later. During that, when I accidentally clicked on a certain page in the emails, and it took me over as being logged into that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It really, really is. If they're going to do that, they should have it log you into your other email too, so you can check it, and then you can hit an option to get out of there on that one. Yeah, I don't understand it. It's really crazy. But Lil Blue Guru, yes. Yes, Lil Blue Guru. Sorry to go off on that tangent. But I have a question about perception and reality. Okay, can you lay it down for me? Son, yes, that was quite a montage there, but okay. They are, it seems to me in your society, it seems like they're really, those two words just go hand in hand interchangeably, don't they? It seems like feelings too. Your perception is your reality. And that's how it is, right? That gets taken for granted. Your perception of how you see things can be your reality, but when you're talking about the collective's reality, that's not necessarily the case at all. And in fact, those two words, this is one of them things where the Lil Blue Guru has to kind of come down a few vibrations, because those two words, from my perspective and what I understand them to really mean, they couldn't be too much further apart. They really couldn't be. They couldn't be too much further apart at all. I know, though, when you see everything that you see, you think is a reality, or people do, especially ones that go back to consciousness again. They don't have a high consciousness level. Your perception is just how you interpret something. Your sense of the information that you might receive. You know, you might hear something on your news, or hear something from a friend, dear soul, and you think that is the reality, then. Okay, you think it's that, okay, that happened, that's real. I don't have all the facts, but yeah, that happened, it's reality. Okay? Reality is something that is, what you would call it, drop dead obvious. It's obvious. For instance, the reality of it is in your math equations. 2 ones make a 2. That is a reality. That is just the reality of it, okay? For instance, there's water flowing through the river that you're looking at. That's the reality. It really is doing that. That's the reality. Reality is something that I want to say that it's something that everybody sees that's actually happening. But again, a lot of that can be changed with perception, so I can't use that analogy. When something just is that cannot be argued, that's so far out. Okay, like saying 1 + 1 is what's the 3? Like 2 ones make a 3. That's so far out there that anybody that would say it would just be doing it to be joking, even somebody whose perception level was completely the opposite of yours. They would still, that reality would still be there, okay? That's reality. And distance-wise, reality, one city is a certain distance from another city. The reality of it is that distance that's agreed upon, that distance is the reality. And that's the reality. If somebody has been diagnosed with extreme, high blood pressure, and say it was verified by a few different doctors, that's the reality of it is they have high blood pressure. Okay, that has been worked towards to find out that that's a reality. That's been solved and tested, and now we know that that's a reality. Okay, your perception would be like walking up out of nowhere upon a group of people, and they're sitting there, and they just started chuckling, and they're looking over at you and they're laughing. But it has nothing to do with you, except for the fact that now they're laughing and they're wondering how it looks, because somebody might have told a joke, they might have done something that, only they in their group, or they, the two selves, would understand. So they found the humor in it, and they're laughing. You come up out of nowhere, and you're thinking they're laughing at you, but because they kind of change their tone a little bit, stop laughing, maybe laugh a little bit less. They're probably doing it in that case because, they don't want to look foolish and they don't want you to know what they're laughing about because it's something silly, but it's funny to them. And they don't want to have to explain that. But you're going to think they're laughing at you. Yeah, right, you were making fun of me. Because of your own insecurities and your own preconceived notions of certain things, you might assume that they're laughing at you. Right? And you may, or you may not, but that would be a perception. Okay? Let me give you another example that just crossed through my head, sir. Young man. Let's say that it was a hot summer's day, a really hot summer's day, and two friends went to the car to get some water. One's in they're both in bathing suits, whatever it may be. The other friend asked the other friend, it's just burning up out here, it's so hot. Why don't you take some of that water, and why don't you pour it over my head? When you pour it over my head, I'm just burning up, it's hot. So the other person takes some water, pours it in a cup or whatever, starts pouring it over their head, and the other person starts freaking out, because it's cold. Starts acting a little bit tense because it's cold, and somebody comes up out of nowhere and sees that part of it, and they may think that somebody's playing a practical joke on them, or somebody's being rude to them, when that wasn't the case at all. Perceptions are easy to be false when you do not have all the information or you jump in late on a situation. However, with the human mind the way it is, the consciousness level in a lot of people as a collective, maybe not so much now quite, but in the past, it takes quite a few things to happen to break a bad perception. If you have a bad perception of somebody, like a first impressions are everything. They're really nothing. Dear soul, we're glad you think the way you do. Not to bring you into this, but yeah, the first impressions really don't mean a whole lot. No, they don't mean a whole lot, dear soul. They do not mean a whole lot. As far as the Little Blue Guru is concerned, there are so many factors as to why you could have a wrong first impression. Your preconceived notions, possibly. Possibly that person's just having a terrible day. They're not feeling good. Something just happened that they're not wanting to talk about with their family. There are so many things that could be a factor as to why a person gave a bad first impression. Nerves. Yeah. And the thing is then we tend to build on that, and we think this or that from just that one encounter. It's really something to behold. But first impressions are now. They mean nothing, really. In our realm, they mean absolutely nothing, because they are nothing. They're just something, if you meet somebody one time, you remember that one time. But if you meet them several more and they're different, and then they stay consistent in that, how they're different, then you realize that was just them messing around or them trying to do whatever. That's exactly it, son. And it takes so many, what I was getting at before was it takes so many magic, so you call it magic moments, to recover. It takes in the minds of a lot of humans a few dozen, actually. It takes a few dozen great things from that, or different things that are consistent from that first thing that you think was. It takes that many things to happen to change your opinion when you have something from a first perception. Yeah, it takes like 44 magical moments to erase one from somebody that they were inadvertently in. Okay? It takes a lot more than people have patience for. Even a lot of actors. Okay? So that's really the difference. Reality is simple. 1 + 1 is 2. And perception is just how you see things. But a lot of times the perception can become the reality if enough of the collective deem it to be the reality. Okay? But it's limiting. It really is. It really is limiting. Consciousness versus knowledge. Ego versus, I don't know the opposite word for not, ego versus operating out of a non-ego. The yin and the yang about everything. Perception versus reality. And isn't that what your society is based on? A lot of it is the yin and the yang. But then again, things get convoluted together. Things for the collective are not always the same for the individual. But yet some of the things are on undeniable. Again, we go back to the 1 + 1 being 2. A reality. But the problem comes in, son, you see, is when your reality and what you think is your reality, is your perception, when you start to bleed that over and think that you know what that other person's reality is, when you're just really having a perception. Okay, that's where judgment comes in, of no judgment. Not having any judgment, you don't know what you don't know until you know it, and then you always did know it. When you have a high consciousness level. It's true. Your play on words lately we've been watching, yes, it is true. Those things are all true. It's really, in the higher dimensions, this yin and this yang, this yes or this no, this option 1 or option 2, usually that's never the case. One of those two choices is never the case. And we really don't even, the higher and higher you go, we really don't even think in any kind of realm like that. It's, the answer is usually never concrete, because there are so many factors that go into it. What is for one person isn't for the other. And then, of course, you have those basics. 1 and 1 is 2. That's about it. Your perception can be your opinion, but it comes a problem. Or your opinion can be your perception and you think is your reality. But the problem comes in, you see, son, when you try to think that that's that other person or that other entities, those other collectives, when you think that that's their reality too. When really you couldn't be far off, because there's so many things that you don't know. And when you don't have judgment or limited judgment, you realize that you don't know all that stuff. You realize that, you're just perceiving that. But if you've also been there, you also know that there's so many factors that are included that it's not just because of this or because of that. See, again, everything is so simple and laid out for the growth path of humanity on Earth. Yeah, it's for some reason humanity has a roadblock where they want to make everything really complicated and overthink things and really look at some deeper meaning to things, when there are a few things where that's necessary with, but those tend not to be the issues that are wanted to be tackled, because it really actually takes some deep commitment to work on them. Whereas it's just kind of, what would you say? What's the word the guru is looking for? Cutesy? Where it's just kind of cutesy to do with just average things, little things, to over-examine it, when the answer is just what it is. It's what you thought it was. It's what it looks like it is. Your eyes are not lying to you. There you go. But if you have an open mind and you come upon an issue where, it's, oh man, but there's, you think there's something more to it. So you keep an open mind, file it away, and then maybe you find out something more, and you go, okay, I wonder if that could mean that, and it takes you on another journey. It's like sometimes, dear soul, when you think you get an answer to something, all you're doing is answer. You have to be ready for the possibility that you're going to open up a whole nother realm of questions by getting an answer, especially when you don't get the whole answer you were looking for. No, but if that's the case, take what you got and file it away and think of it as another step. Don't be impatient. You'll know when you need to know, dear souls. You have everything within you. You'll know when you need to know. And that's about all that the Blue Guru has to say on that. Thank you, son, so much for having me here. And I will talk to you at another time, whenever that may be, in this endless, never-ending, never-beginning, though not existing time frame. You're really doing a number on me, son. I'm getting old. No, I'm just kidding. I love you so much. Thank you. And with that, the Little Blue Guru, and I'm not that little, by the way, son. Little Blue Guru is out. All right, thank you to the Little Blue Guru. I appreciate him coming through with his knowledge. He has been great. I shared the story about how I ran into him, I think, the other night, and I've shared it before. It was interesting, but I'm not going to go into it again. It was really surreal, though. It was one of the realest. They're all real to me, but the moment was real because it included an actual voice that I thought I heard. And usually, through good spirit, it's just telepathy. Although once in a while they'll break character and they'll say a word or two. If it's just a word or two, it's fine. And that's it. Sometimes they'll just do that to break the ice, and then that's it. You know, my first contacts, talked about them the other night, I heard a few words from them, and that was it. I heard a hey, like a friendly voice, thought it was weird and freaked out a little. And then a few minutes later, I heard, hey, what are you doing? In a nice, friendly way. And it caused me to rip my earphones off that weren't attached to anything yet and throw them. And then after that, we had a good laugh, but it was telepathic through then. Okay? Had it happen a few other times. Had these cloud beings, these 8th entities I contact, 8th-dimensional entities. Seen this one all the time, smiled at me. He looked kind of funny and weird. He kind of had a demonistic smile, but not really. It was a Pleiadian sense of humor smile. One time I was really sick, really sick. I saw him outside of my window. And I heard this he smiled at me, and I looked at him, and I kept looking at him. He smiled bigger. And I heard this, he said, his mouth moved, and he said it like this. He said, I got you. And then he smiled real big again and just looked at me. And I said, well, I said it back to him telepathically. I said, well, I love you too, but that was kind of weird. It's kind of creepy. You're kind of a little closer than you usually are today. And he was in the sky. He was like hanging down out of the clouds. And he said that to me. He knew I was really sick, but it was the one time he broke character and I heard voices from him. I love you, but it was an electronic voice. Another time, and I mentioned this before, and people wondered what I was talking about, the blue avians. Don't channel them. I had a chance 2 years ago. People know that story. I was one of the first to be offered it before Corey Good was. About the same time Corey was, and Corey did a great job with them. But I said, no, I got too much going on. You know, I was doing 2 different radio shows a day then, 5 days a week or so, 3 days, 2 of them. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. And besides, I was over channeling the orbs and the aqua rays, and it was going on and on and on, and still just a few years into my awakening myself or my contacts. And I'm like, man, those sound cute. Those guys really do. But is anybody going to take that seriously, coming from some blue birds from another dimension? I don't know, man. I think I'm going to have to pass. And okay. Well, little did I know how wonderful they were going to be for humanity. Now, I don't channel them because I don't walk on anybody else's toes. Although, here's what I do. I do a little bit. They're part of a collective called the Blue World Order, and so is the Little Guru, but so are a ton of other entities. Ones most of you probably know of. The Blue World Order, okay? Now, they're on that committee. I've dealt with them when I've been in trance and dealing with my, a lot of my guides are on the Blue World Order too, but they've been around, okay? Like sitting there, talking with others. I am not talking directly with them, but what I've heard them do is they think this is funny to do once in a while. They have a great harmonizing, if you could hear them talk, their voice, their whistling sounds, their vibration sounds are angelic and beautiful. Here's the one thing, and I've said this before, here's the one kryptonite. Here's one thing that blue avians suck at. Don't ever encourage them to try to sing anything in an earth voice, because they don't have the vocal cords to do it, but they have tried to do it thinking they were funny. 8th-dimensional beings have a sense of humor sometimes. It's that first dimension where you're completely going out of a human body into some other kind of a realm that you choose to. But I have heard them, twice now? No, 3 times. I've heard them 3 times try to sing a song. Dancing in the Moonlight, if you ever heard that one. Afternoon Delight, both 1976 songs. The other one was Moshe Ria Moore by Stevie Wonder, and it's from the 80s. I've heard them try to break in, sing that, and it sounds terrible. It sounds like a combination of really creepy electronic aliens mixed in with taking an old record and speeding up the speed on it or slowing it way down. I don't know, but it sounds like they're almost trying to mock an electronic creepy alien sound, but doing it a little bit better and a little bit slower. Yeah, it just comes out that way with them. And they think it's hilarious because, they're interested in what we're interested in too. And, they have a big sense of humor. And so sometimes like that, they'll break character and do that. But they don't typically come through like that. It isn't like you're not going to get a whole channeling with them speaking to you. You're going to hear the thought in your thought. It's going to be like they're speaking to you. But I'm talking about in a physical sense hearing it. Okay? Those are the only times. So that's twice for my first collected once from some guys that weren't big into channeling, but I did. They were visibly there from the 8th dimension for me all the time. And that one little guy was with me for years, one of them. I'd see him every day. He looked like he had a, here's what he looked like, actually. He always had these big, round kind of eyes. And he had a high cheekbones. And he always had a big, like, smile on his face, a real grin that was, like, angelic, but if it were any more intense, it could look kind of evil. And his hair, he looked like he had hair, too. He looked like he had, I wouldn't say Eddie Munster hair, but, like a flat top just a flat, flat top. And he was always smiling at me like he was really happy. He was either stoned, really happy, or, plotting something. That's kind of the grin he looked like he always had. I saw him for years and years and years. I've seen him everywhere. He's like an ancient guide. And one time he got real down out of the clouds, and I was really sicker than sick. Dehydrated, and I'd been in bed for a couple of days. I'd been to the hospital, and he right in the window, I said, "I got you," like that, and then like his teeth sparkled, and he winked at me. It was really weird. That was it, though. That was it. No other. Seen him for years later. Still do every now and then. But that's that's it. So they are not supposed to, but they will break character. They are rebels too, and have a sense of humor sometimes. Yeah, but the avians will. And I don't know if I got to see that because they were just dealing with, in their collective, with other collectives of blue energies and blue souls. Serious dolphin collective, they're kind of goofy. Yet I haven't heard them try to really sing, or I haven't heard them verbally or anything, or, the blue orb, or the blue orb goddess, let's see, all of them, that are in the Blue World Order. The Blue Ray Divine. What's really interesting, I've told people, is when you sit in on getting the purview to be able to see their meetings together when they all meet at a conference, and they do speak. It looks like a General Assembly speech when they go up there and talk telepathically to everybody, because they're up at the forefront. But what's really weird, you guys, and I've said this, is when you see blue energies, like the blue sphere up there, the blue spiral, or you see the blue divine ray up there. Imagine sitting there at a conference and the person up there speaking is just this blue orb, this blue wormhole orb energy that's swirling around and it's talking telepathically, and you're getting what it's saying. It's kind of weird, but that's just how it is. That's what the Blue World Order is and does. That's a cute little name for them. Yeah, I know. I thought so too. Yeah. That's good. The blue, everything is blue. Hey, you know what? It's not New Age deception. It's a Blue Age reception. So everybody, welcome to the Blue Age. And with that, I'm rocking Larry Locken. And it's been real. I'll see you in a minute. I might not see you or hear from you in a minute. I've got to go into the hospital tomorrow. I might have to have... I'm not trying to scare anybody or work anybody up. There is a chance. I'm hoping not a very good one. There's a chance I might have to have a foot removed. It's rotten pretty bad, and I've been putting off going in about it. I hate staying at the hospital, and I know I'm going to have to, or else I'm going to die. If I just keep it going, or you know what I mean? It hurts bad. I can't even touch it. Can't even lay down or put a blanket on myself right now. Pretty bad, y'all. With that, I wish you a great weekend, and we are out. E5000 lyrical gangbang, but it's just a G thing as always. It ain't nothing but love. And by the way, it ain't nothing but a love vibration for us all. Really, it ain't nothing but, it's nothing but 4 words. It's nothing but energy, vibration, frequency, quantumness, quantum, and everything is just plasma. Yeah, it's just plasma. It's all those things. So that was 5 words, right? Yeah. It's a quantum, vibrational, frequency, and it's all just an energy. But if you want to get a little material about it, it's plasma. Alright, we're out.